Six women, all heartbreakers. Some with handcuffs.
So last time we were together, we talked about foreshortening, and we did a couple of quick foreshortening drawings. What we're doing today is more foreshortening. I don't know if we're going to get to both of these drawings today. I think we will. I don't see it being like that, all that hard to get to two, because we're not going to do them real big, maybe half sheet of paper each, plus a panel. So once you put the panel in there, you lose even a little more paper. But the birdseye and wormseye are options for anybody looking to make a very dramatic scene, either in a comic book or a movie or a photo, or anytime you're trying to show a visual image where you need a little more oomph, where you need to really make it clear that somebody is a formidable foe or that you are high above everybody. When it's from above, it's called a bird's eye. So if the viewer is up in the sky, it's considered a bird's eye. If the view is from the ground, like these two, that's known as a worm's eye view. And there is a significant amount of distortion here. Why that child's head is that large, I've got no idea. It is one pumpkin-headed kid. But you get the idea. Feet are big. The rest of the body pulls back smaller. This is mostly hips, legs, and what would normally be shoes, ginormous shoes, if the plants weren't in the way. All right. From over here on our Batman one, we see a ninja, we see Batman. It's not as angled as this first one, but it too, because you can look up at it, is considered a worm's eye view. Some worm's eye views are basically going to a vanishing point. So if I put a ruler up here, it would basically say left side, right side are going to this vanishing point, and this person is getting smaller as she's going to the vanishing point. Now, if you were to try to measure her by her head, I'll do it for fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, roughly 9 heads tall. And her midsection is about 2/3 of the way up. So the legs are closer, legs are bigger. This one hand super far away, almost to a vanishing point, it's really tiny. Here's another worm's eye view looking up. Every one of these guys are pointing upward. Therefore, their hands are going to be a little smaller. Their thighs are going to be bigger. That's really how that works. All right. These are both bird's eye views. So we've seen 4 worm's eye views. These are bird's eye views. One of them is very, very, very angled, like the camera's hanging out the window angled, looking straight down on Captain America and whoever else I cropped out of the photo. The other one, it's just kind of up from the ceiling. You see more of the floor. You see the walls. You see a lot of people's shoulders. In this case, they got out of drawing faces because they drew the back of 4 of the people's heads. And you see a seldom used profile shot in there. All right. Spider-Man here, nice and big. Even he's foreshortened like we did the other day. Hands large, head's roughly normal. He's getting smaller as he gets down by his foot. Captain America is smaller down there. All right. Completely thrown off by something here. Okay. Sorry, those 2 pictures. Looks like I cut and cropped that Captain America so you could see these guidelines going down the building to a supposed vanishing point. And we're going to learn about vanishing points next week, probably. And you see the top of his shoulder. And here it's a bird's eye, just because you're seeing the top of a candle. So that candle could be anything. That candle could be the top of a pop can. That candle could be the top of a nightstick. It could be the top of a street post. Whatever you need it to be, even a fence post. That still would count as a bird's eye. All right, so what are these things good for other than drama? Sometimes they just look amazing. So what we're seeing is we're seeing Spider-Man drawn fairly normal. Like if you were to take and measure him out, he's probably, 7.5 of his own heads tall. If he was drawn this way, he may have been drawn upside down. They flipped the paper. But then everything else is below him. So all the tops of these buildings are going to a vanishing point. When we get down to here, we're now gone from a bird's eye view to a worm's eye view. We're looking up at Spider-Man. And his proportions haven't really changed. What's changed is the background. So that, you can kind of squeak by through some of these bird's eye, worm's eyes by changing the background instead of changing the proportions of the character. Depending on how you change the character, though, is how intense that angle is going to be. We have a slight bird's eye on the left. We have a higher bird's eye where your view or the camera view is above his head more in the middle. And we have one that's almost looking, but not quite, straight down on him. Every one of those is a different angle for a bird's eye. So you have to decide how the background's going to play into that. All right, so this might get a little tricky. Is that a bird's eye or a worm's eye? I made this one intentionally hard. You are correct. It is a worm's eye. So even though he's flying straight at you and he's foreshortened, we got the big hand like we did, the buildings are going up. So it's the buildings that tell us. Very good. That is a worm's eye. All right, this one, worm's eye or bird's eye? Yep, this is another worm's eye. So this is one where the camera's low. How do we know it's a bird's eye? Well, we're looking up at his armpits, at Doc Ock's armpits. But now here's the problem. Everything in that scene, figure-wise, indicates it's a worm's eye. Look at the background. Right. That's my problem every time I see it too. Because when you said worm's eye, I'm like 100% correct. And I went, oh yeah, this is the one that always throws me. The bodies are drawn as a worm's eye. The background is a bird's eye. So they must all be standing on the side of a building. And the viewer is looking out the window. So that's pretty intense. That's a lot more thinking than I would really like to have to do normally. But I gotta admit, it's cool as heck, man. I did one. I should have posted a picture of it, but I did do one that starts off as a bird's eye and ends up as a worm's eye because it's a really long drawing. So the bodies end up being bird's eye or worm's eye. Then when you get down to the bottom, you're actually at a bird's eye. If I can ever get a decent picture of it, I'll post it up. All right, so I'm going to stop my share right there. And we are actually going to do some drawing. So I will click over to the Elmo camera like I am wont to do very often. And we are going to make a panel just like we did before. Booyah. I got two parallel. You got parallel. Yeah, they're both parallel. Parallel lines there. I got the top and the bottom of my panel. I'm going to go like that. I'm going to draw a little panel there. All right, hopefully you can all see that. All right. So we're going to start first with a triangle. And I'm going to tilt my paper slightly, just a little bit. And I'm going to put this triangle kind of right here. A little bit off center, a little bit twisted. All right. So I'm starting that with a triangle. Now, most of the ones I'm going to show you are going to be super intense today. All right. So these are going to be super exaggerated. This would be the gotcha frame in a comic book where you're like, whoa, look at that. Normally, you tend to be a little more subtle with your foreshortening and with your wormseye birdseye. All right, so now I'm also going to put this curve right here. All right, what that will be, you will find out later. All right, but since it's blocking my body a little bit, I'll erase that out. So far, so good. He's nice. You've got round, you've got triangle, you've got half circle. He's really half oval. He's not half circle. You have triangle going this way. Okay, now here what we do. At the top of triangle, I make really tiny head. Yep, that tiny. And then I'm going to put my arms only a little bit down. All right. I know that looks ridiculous already. It'll look better as we go. Tiny head, 2 arms. Okay, so if my arms were hanging at my side, my belt, assuming I am of normal proportion, would come at about the middle of my forearm. So I am going to take and draw a big curve here that will be my belt. Now, like I said before, every time we create a character or we draw a person, we tend to want to draw as many things round as we can. Now, you're thinking to yourself, what is up with those 2 ginormous curves you did at the bottom of them? Those are his shoes. Because our foreshortening is so intense, our shoes are going to be ginormous, which technically may not be a real word. All right. How did I do that? So far, it's all simple shapes, right? I've got maybe a fourth of a circle here in the bottom. All right. I've got a triangle going up here. I got a little tiny circle. He's little. He's like the so. And then I have my forearms. I made them short. Really, if you want to measure them, they're about 1/3 of the triangle in length. See that? 1, 2, 3. So if you can divide your triangle into 3, there's my forearms. And then I made these 2, we'll call them peanut M&M shapes, for lack of something better, for my shoes. Now, I shouldn't be able to see through my shoes. At least that's my theory. All right. Now, unless he is on his way to being a mermaid, I'm going to assume that his legs split and curve up. How much detail you want to put into this guy, up to you. If you want him carrying a baseball bat in this hand, like he's committed a murder, you do that. Murder, you say? Why would you say murder? Well, because what I'm going to do after I use my can of the human head on this guy here to make him look like he's mean and he did some damage. I'm going to turn this into a person. What? So maybe he smacked him in the head. Maybe he found him like that. Maybe this is the beginning of a mystery. Well, this person's really close. Is this person dead? We don't know. Maybe he's just horribly terrified, fell on the ground shaking. Now, from this point, you can decide what you want to do. Is he going to have a big belt buckle? Is he going to have a fly to his jeans? Any other details you want to make? Is he going to have steel tip toe shoes here? Working in the warehouse? Folds into clothing? Is he going to have a hat? And then from there, all you have to do is go and shade that sucker, and you will be in great shape. I'll write the word worm's eye under that just to remind me. All right, now we get to do a bird's eye view. So I'm going to slide up my paper. Bum, bum, bum. Once again, I'm going to draw another panel. I was hoping to put word bubbles in these today, but you know what? It's Friday. You guys get out of having to do word bubbles on this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my potato. This time I'm going to go off the page a little bit with my potato. All right. So I've done up my potato. Then I'm going to put this chicken leg. Now, what's different about this chicken leg? I am bending the end of the chicken leg like it is grasping, because this hand is going to be grasping for something. We don't know what. So potato, chicken leg. So far, so good. And because I shouldn't be able to see my potato through my chicken leg, I will erase that. Okay, now what is also going to happen is I'm going to start drawing these fingers bent over like they're reaching. Now, what you will notice is some of this is actually off the paper. And that happens a lot in comic book drawing, basically because they know they're going to erase it. So you can put all your details here as you draw your doubled over hot dogs or your tot from your series of 3 tater tots. And then you can always come back and just get rid of that. Now, here's the interesting thing. When we do a worm's eye, we use a triangle with the point heading up to create the body. Everything compresses to that point at the top of the triangle. When we do a bird's eye, it's the triangle pointing down. I'm actually going to move my triangle over a little bit. And on top of that triangle, I'm going to put a head. So if you look at this moment, here's my triangle. Here's my circle behind it that's going to make the head. Or if you're still into using food shapes, here's my piece of pizza. Here's my egg. Now, both of these drawings from the angle that we did it would be some of the few times you could have full flared nostrils. So if I wanted to do up this face, I could have full nostrils. Make him look like he's not that happy reaching for whatever it is he's reaching for. Your ears are also going to drop a little bit, because if you throw your head back and you take your ears and you go forward, they're not necessarily, if you keep your hands parallel, going to be level with your eyebrows anymore because your head is tilted. You want to go back and add more detail to the hand. Do your lifeline in here. And your love line and your wealth line, assuming his right hand is his dominant hand. Okay, as we wait for his timer to go off, I'm just going to recap for anybody got lost. Start with potato. Made a bent chicken leg for the thumb. Tater totted out the fingers. All right. Made an egg shape for the head. Slice of pizza for the body. Then we went back, did all the details that we could think of that might be in the face. If you want to give this guy hair, you can give him hair. I'll give him some greasy hair. He's like the unkempt bad guy in all the horror movies. Alrighty. So now from this point, we have to make the rest of his body. At the bottom of that triangle, I'm going to put two really tiny shoes sticking out like so. That's crazy. It's not that crazy. And then toward the bottom of that triangle, I'm going to curve where his belt line would be. All right. So it's almost like I put a fishtail on him. And the reason it looks like a fishtail is I haven't split those two shoes and curved in there. All right. So I've got this super extreme bird's eye angle. And after that, the only thing I really got to add is his arm. And I'm trying something a little bit different here, because normally I don't bother to show the arm. I just have it limp at his side. But I feel like you guys are so responsive today. I'll put in a couple of rolls. And I'll have him put his fist across his chest. And there we go. Little fish fin at the bottom. We split it in two. We got legs. We curve here. We got pant legs. We make a rectangle here, overlap a rectangle here, curve out the edges of the rectangles. All right. Thumb comes out, knuckles come out, back. Maybe his arm is in a splint. Ooh. What happened there? That's like a story. Why? Why is his arm in a splint? And you notice everything in here, man. This is another piece of pizza. That splint's another piece of pizza. This is a carrot. Okay, so now here's a couple of things you can still do with this. If you wanted to put a rug on the ground, make the rug look like it goes back to a vanishing point, or put a room line in here. You could do that kind of thing. Maybe you're going to have a dog bowl on the ground. Guy might have a massive dog. I don't know. All right. So those are options you can do to help emphasize your scene. Maybe the dog ate all the food. Now the bowl is empty. Maybe it's full of water. Maybe it has the word dog on it, just to stop other people in this house from drinking from it. If we're looking at this one up at the top real quick, something you could do, you could angle the room line. And then instead of having a line where the ceiling meets the floor, you would have a line where, where the wall meets the floor. You would have a line where the ceiling meets the wall. And then there's an open door frame there. Right. And that's basically how you do it. Now, I would, if you have the time right now, because I don't know if you've got 8th hour off, take 5 minutes, just throw in the little details in there, take a picture of that, send that to me, get a grade. That's literally all you have to do to get a 4 for today's assignment. So I'm gonna switch back to my regular face because we only got about a minute left. Are there any questions? All right, guys, we're out of time. Have a good weekend. Stay out of trouble. If you can't stay out of trouble, don't get caught. This has been your public service announcement. Have a good one. Bye.